Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all having a great day. Today I am going to do a spoiler-free review of The Women in Black by Madeline St. John. This is a book by an Australian author written in the 90s, although it is officially considered a text classic or a classic for Australian readers. I picked this book up originally because I saw that Netflix or Amazon Prime was doing a TV miniseries or version of the story, and I thought that it looked like a lot of fun, so I picked it up, and it turns out that Madeline St. John is a fantastic writer, and I'm so glad that I officially read this book, and I can now put more Madeline St. John books on my TBR. I'll go ahead and get started with the review. I'm going to do a quick summary of the story, and then I will get into some pros and cons and my overall rating of the story. Okay, so this is a short, quick little story of the lives of 4 women in Sydney, Australia in the 50s. And it covers the lives of these 4 women. They work in the dress department, in the ladies' cocktail dress department of a department store called Goods Department Store. And it's about how they interact with each other, but more importantly, how their lives develop over time and over the course of a couple of weeks, a couple of months in which the story takes place. The first character that I'll talk to you about is Patty. Patty is a late 20s, early 30s something married woman. She has what you might consider a very typical 1950s marriage. Her husband isn't really present in the marriage, and she's very unhappy because of that. She also can't have kids. At the point in the story in which we meet her, they've been trying for years, and she has never gotten pregnant, and that's actually why she has continued to work at the department store. She was going to work there until she got pregnant and could start her family, and but no baby ever came, so she's still working at the ladies' frock department. And so that's the first character. The second character we meet in the ladies' frock department is a young woman named Faye. Faye is a 20-something beautiful young woman who has made some mistakes in the past regarding men, and she sort of lives her life meeting one guy after another and not being terribly satisfied with any of those encounters. And she is ready for something more. She's ready for something new. She's tired of meeting the same old men. And so her story is going to develop along those lines. Patty and Faye both work in the ladies' frock department, along with a woman named Magda. Magda is really an interesting character in the story. She is a Slovenian immigrant to Australia. She and her husband, who is Hungarian, are immigrants to Australia. Magda works in the ladies' frock department, but she has a special job. She works with the model gowns, so the dresses that she sells are unique, and they sell for much more money because they are unique. Magda is an intelligent, clever woman. She is continental, that's what they call her, because she is from Europe. And she's sort of set apart from the other women because of that. She speaks another language, she's classier, she doesn't wear just a plain black frock. She adds small details to her dresses to make them unique. And her overall goal is to own her own shop in Sydney, not just working for somebody else, but working for herself. She and her husband are both very driven characters, and I really enjoyed that about them. And then finally, we meet Leslie, who renames herself as Lisa in the story because she doesn't like the name Leslie. She is a young girl who has just graduated from high school. She's very intelligent. She did very well in the exams that they take in Australia when you finish school, and she wants to go off to college, but her father does not feel that that's an appropriate place for a young woman to be. He doesn't want to send her off to college. He certainly doesn't want to pay for it. And so she's working at the ladies' frock department until they get her test scores back, so that she and her mother can sort of formulate a plan on how to convince him that she should go to college if her test scores are high enough and if she gets the scholarship that they think that she will. So she's working at the ladies' frock department sort of as an intermediary job, but it's her first experience really outside of the home, where she's meeting new women, new faces, having lots of new experiences, and the story tracks her development over the course of a couple of months. And so those are the characters, and I focus so much on the characters in summary because it's a very character-driven story. Now into the prose. I really enjoyed each and every one of these characters. I thought that they were very unique, and Madeline St. John did a fantastic job of developing each character independently. Patty she's quiet, she's timid in the beginning of the story, she doesn't like her marriage, but she doesn't know what to do about that. In fact, she would think there is nothing to do about that, and she ends up buying like a nightie, and buying that nightie changes her whole life, for a little while anyway. She gets home that night, she tries on her nightie, and her husband walks in, and it's the first time that he's ever really shown any sort of sexual interest in her, and it changes their relationship so much that it's almost like he's afraid of the night of passion that they had in the story, and he leaves the next day. And so Patty is left to deal with the fact that her husband has left her and he's not coming back. And that's the trajectory of her story throughout this, and her dealing with that in light of it being the 1950s is very, very interesting. Faye's character is a little bit more independent, but she's still limited to what society has to say about her. Leslie's character, she's so young, she refuses to be limited to what society has to say about her. She's too young to really know almost that she's being judged by these other women because of her odd ambitions to be a poet or an actress or a fashion designer. And Magda really takes Lisa, under her wing and helps develop that. Magda takes her home one day, they have lunch, Magda puts on a little makeup on her, changes her hair, and puts a belt on her, and then suddenly she's a new woman. And but also, that all sounds very surface level and petty, but Magda also, while Leslie is at Magda's house, Leslie for the first time really gets to talk about the books that she likes to read. And so that's a big development for her intellectually, to have people that she can connect with on an intellectual level. Also, Lisa is an interesting character altogether. She makes some questionable choices, but she's also only like 17, 18 years old, so that's pretty normal. Magda, as I said, is my favorite character overall in the story. I really enjoyed the way that St. John focuses on her immigrant status and how that separates her, but also just how driven all of them are. Magda, her husband, a friend that comes to town, they are independent, they're clever, they are not going to give up. They've been through hell together in the past. It's only mentioned once that that they were refugees for such a long time, and that's sort of what bonds them together and gives them strength to carry on and start all over in a new country in Australia. And so I really enjoyed her in the story. So because all of the characters are so different, I thought St. John did a fantastic job of really developing them. Madeline St. John's writing style is also fantastic. It is simple and elegant. I think those are the best ways to describe it. And I think that Madeline St. John deals with very heavy topics in an elegant way as well. What we end up coming across here is, sex and family life in the 1950s, when you consider both Faye and Patty's relationships, and then you have marriage and infertility issues and immigrant and refugee issues all covered, feminism because Leslie's dad doesn't want her to go to college. All of these issues, they're very heavy topics, and Madeline St. John handles them in a very light-hearted manner, in such a way all of the characters do eventually get what they want in the end. I'm not so sure that's a good thing, but they all do, and so Madeline St. John is painting this beautiful, elegant picture in a very light-hearted way, which I think makes this book so unique and interesting. The biggest con that I had of this story is the poor choices for some of the characters, and that they all do get what they want, basically, in the end. I thought that it's a beautiful, sweet story, but it also can make it more playful than perhaps St. John is actually capable of. We don't see as much character growth in the characters. Faye doesn't really have a whole lot of character growth. Patty has a little bit of character growth. Magda doesn't have any character growth. And Leslie develops, but still you don't see a whole lot of change. You just see her sort of living out the goals, the smaller goals that she has set for herself over the course of those months. She gets her scores on her tests back. She finds out whether or not she's going to get the scholarship, and so it's just really it's a very quiet story in that sense, that now there's not a whole lot of plot and there's not a whole lot of growth and development of these characters, but it's still a sweet, quiet, elegant story that I really enjoyed because of how she handles those heavy topics. So some of the themes, as I said, that she handles is sex and love and marriage, friendships, especially female friendships, and how all of these women are working together in the same place, but they do not have close relationships at all, and why that is, what separates them. Loneliness in and out of marriage, immigration, identity, and the persistent, imaginative strength of the immigrant culture in this city, which I thought was so beautiful. But also sexism and feminism, but not with a whole lot of force. She deals with it very gently, almost as if it's a joke, but it's not a joke, so that's really interesting. So overall, I would say that I gave this story a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought the writing was beautiful. I loved the characters, but it was a little quieter than perhaps I think it could have been. I do want to share two quotes. The first quote comes from the back of the book, a letter by Christopher Potter, who is writing about Madeline St. John, and he calls The Women in Black a perfect pitch comedy of manners set in the ladies' cocktail section of F.G. Goods, a department store in 1950s Sydney. And I like the way he described it as a perfect pitch comedy of manners, and I can see that that is the case. It's meant to be amusing, it's meant to be light, it's a little bit of a parody, dealing with these heavy topics so tritely almost, and considering what separates these women and seeing that perhaps it shouldn't separate them, they have more in common than they think. The other quote that I want to share with you is sort of, I think, explains why the characters of Leslie and Magda are my favorite. A peripheral character is describing Leslie, and she says, "A clever girl is the most wonderful thing in all creation." And I think that really epitomizes what the book is about. It's about the cleverness of especially Magda and Leslie, and how Magda particularly takes charge of her own life, and she is the only one who has agency and who's going to achieve those goals that she has set for herself in a real way. And when she takes Leslie under her wing, she almost helps ensure that Leslie is going to do that as well, with a little bit of independence. Leslie is a clever young girl, and she will meet the goals that she has set for herself, hopefully anyway. Okay, so that is my review of The Women in Black. It has become a TV series as well, so if you've read this book or if you've watched the TV series, please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.